All right, coffee time. So I am back in my rented cabin. It's snowing outside. I'd show you, but it's pitch black out there, and you wouldn't be able to see a thing. So I turned on the screen behind us to help illustrate what's happening outside this front door. If you didn't see my last episode, I spent the majority of today hiking out in a bunch of trails in the snow, filming a segment. I did a review on Yankee Candle's Sparkling Snow. Had a really, really good time, but by the time I got back, I was frozen solid. So I showered, I had a chance to thaw out, I got some work done, I answered some emails, and I said to myself, look, I got more candles. Maybe I should do a little discussion on a couple candles while I'm here in this rented cabin. I'm loving this place. I've been here in Jefferson, New Hampshire for 3 days now. And the main reason for coming out here was to visit Santa's Village, which is a Christmas-themed amusement park. I've always wanted to go, and I went. I had a blast. It was really a fantastic time. But I have this Lake George mug, which isn't from the White Mountains. It is from the Adirondack Mountains. It's got the little cabin on it, just like where we are right now. I don't have a fire going, but you get the idea. And why do I have the mug, you ask? Well, I have this hotel coffee maker. We've all seen these in hotels before. I unfortunately do not have my electric water kettle, which I usually do travel with, but this will do the trick. I figured while I prepare and set up for the first candle that we talk about, I'd get some hot water going, because we're gonna need it. You'll see why. It's about 8 ounces. All I'm gonna do is run this water through it. There's no coffee in here. This will just heat up the water for us, and that's not gonna fit. Got a hotel cup. That's not gonna fit. Why am I heating up this water? Because I have a box of Swiss Miss. What is this? Swiss Miss Classics Marshmallow Hot Cocoa. I picked this up because I thought perhaps that I might be doing a review on the candle that I have right here. This one by Kringle Candle, entitled Peppermint Cocoa. And there it is. Since we have this peppermint cocoa, I figured we would have a little bit of Swiss Miss hot cocoa while we review this candle. Now this, like I said, this isn't just the standard classic Swiss Miss. This is the marshmallow version. So I wonder if that means there's marshmallows, like powdered marshmallows inside this packet, or if there's like little tiny marshmallows in there. Oh man. You know, I'm not being sarcastic when I use Swiss Miss as a descriptor on candles. Look, I think most of us grow up knowing hot cocoa, not for the gourmet hot cocoa that you get in a fancy restaurant. We know hot cocoa on the days we're snowed in, we have a blizzard outside, or the snow days from grade school. We put on some hot cocoa while we watch the snow fall down and watch Christmas movies on the tube. It's a very particular smell, the powdered hot cocoa. It's got, I'm sure, the cocoa powder, it's got the granulated sugar in there, and as you can see, we do have little mini marshmallows in this packet. And just in case you've never had Swiss Miss, make sure you pick it up and smell it. Or if it's been a long time, buy some and smell it. Because you're going to use this as a descriptor all of the time on candles. Whoa. Alright. So I'm going to dump the contents. It's overflowing. Oh, I did not think this through. Get rid of this now. Wooden knife, only thing I got here. All right. Oh yeah. Okay. See, now we've created the mood. Now we're prepared to analyze candles and aromas and scents and fragrance, to dive deep back into our memory banks and recall those precious memories and moments. So let's give this a smell, and let me break it down for you. I should start with the chocolate element to the candle. Let's just start there. This isn't a milk chocolate. This is not Swiss Miss chocolate. This is more of like a baker's chocolate. This is not a super sweet chocolate. This has that very rich, deep, dark cocoa powder baker's chocolate, or very dark chocolate smell to it. And that's what's going to make this unique. And if you need a little extra persuasion, what you can do is, if you have any one of these candles at home, break them out. Peppermint Bark by Yankee Candle, Merry Mint by Yankee Candle, or the Girl Scouts cookie, the Thin Mints by Yankee Candle. Break that out. And if you got this one too, break that out too. And smell them all side by side. And you'll notice that out of the 4 of those candles, this peppermint cocoa is going to have the more luxurious, darker, higher quality scented chocolate. Now, I'll talk about that later, because how is that accomplished? I got a couple theories. You know, think of like a chocolate glaze on a gourmet brownie, or think of ganache, right? It's not this super sweet confectionery chocolate. You know, to me, chocolate is not a candy, it's a food. And when you buy chocolate that is so sweet, it becomes candy. It becomes a confection, where this really is a nice, luxurious smelling, gourmet smelling chocolate. Again, I'll talk about that later, because the question is, how do they pull that off? Now, I guess the next step, right, is talking about that peppermint. And let's face it, I mean, I can paint a bunch of portraits, I can tell you peppermint swirls and candy canes, but it's just a straightforward peppermint, you know, peppermint extract. A couple days ago, I actually had a homemade peppermint candy, really authentic smell of peppermint that we're all familiar with. Especially this time of year when it's everywhere. Everything is sprinkled with powdered peppermint. Everything is infused with peppermint, peppermint creams, peppermint toppings. But what happens to the peppermint is it becomes very creamy. Why? Because there's a big dairy component to this candle. Big dairy component. You know, we could say heavy cream, we could say whipped cream. Whipped cream makes the most sense, right? Because, you know, we see the whipped cream on top there. But for me, this is like, you know, a vanilla bean ice cream, like a really, one of those really nice, expensive treats that you buy yourself at like Whole Foods, like the Tahitian vanilla gelato, right? It has that really nice vanilla bean, high quality ice cream. And with the addition of that peppermint, it kind of does make it smell like a peppermint ice cream, which is not too popular. But if you've never had peppermint ice cream, you should try it. It's actually really, really good. Now, the big thing here is marshmallow. You know, you would think that there would be a marshmallow component here. And although it's not pictured in the label here, you know, I don't think it's a far stretch to say that there's marshmallow here. And if you really want to have fun with it, remember fluff? We talked about fluff a bunch of times. If you ever had a Nutter Butter sandwich, you're familiar with fluff. It's that ooey gooey confection that comes in the jar. There is a nice gooey marshmallow component. I mean, am I thinking of it based on associations? It's totally possible. I don't think it's a stretch. Okay, so going back to the chocolate, I'm thinking, how do you make that smell of that ganache, that really nice chocolate glaze that we find on a pastry, a brownie? You know, smelling this for a couple moments before I started rolling here, I was thinking of coffee, right? Coffee beans, espresso beans. Not the ones that you burn to a crisp, but Coffee beans that are, espresso beans that are roasted to a point where they still maintain some characteristics of the actual coffee bean itself, you will get these really rich, toasty, fudgy chocolate notes. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of a coffee thing or a little bit of an espresso thing happening here. I can't really say for sure, but I definitely, the image is coming to my mind and it definitely makes sense. And then adding on top of that coffee bean a little bit of spice. That ground cinnamon that we put in our oatmeal, that ground cinnamon that we put in our apple pie spice, our pumpkin spice, our chai spice. So with the addition of the cinnamon and the coffee to that chocolate, I think it's creating an aroma of a very luxurious ganache. It smells like a high quality chocolate aroma, and that's really what I think is so special about this candle right here. Although I love this Swiss Miss, it feels so good on the throat. I've been talking all day and I've been out in the cold. The heat feels so good. Even though it does not taste like the nostalgic hot chocolate Swiss Miss that we know so well from everyday life, childhood, it does have a much more sophisticated aroma. So if you went to a nice restaurant, you went to a cafe or a coffee shop where they're making chocolate espresso beverages, this is kind of like an upscale chocolate cocoa with peppermint. If you don't know, I do. I really enjoy Kringle Candle a lot. I don't do nearly enough reviews on their candles as I should, but I just simply don't own a lot of Kringle candles, and that is just sadly the case.